I've worked the night shift at Hollow Creek gas station for 3 years now. Nothing exciting ever happens here. Just truckers, late-night travelers, and locals grabbing coffee at 2 a.m. But last Tuesday changed everything. It started with a hearse pulling up to pump 3. Pump 2 and 3.
Excuse me, hello, can you turn on pump 3?
His voice crackled through the intercom, startling me from my half-sleep state. I looked up at the security monitor. The hearse was sleek black, immaculately polished despite the light drizzle outside. The driver wore a crisp black suit, standing perfectly straight beside the vehicle. I pressed the button to activate the pump.
Thank you.
Something felt off about him. Maybe it was how he stood so still while pumping gas, never checking his phone or looking around like normal customers. His eyes remained fixed on the numbers ticking up on the display. When he finished, he walked toward the store. His footsteps made no sound on the wet pavement. The bell above the door didn't ring when he entered. That was the first real sign something was wrong. That bell rings for everyone. It's old and loud and impossible to miss. But not for him.
Pump 3 in this.
He placed a single black coffee bean on the counter. Not a candy bar, not cigarettes, not even coffee. Just one coffee bean. His fingers were unnaturally long and pale. I stared at the bean, confused.
Pump 3. And this, please.
His voice had a hollow quality, like he was speaking from the bottom of a well. I rang up the gas. I cleared my throat.
The bean. You need to scan the bean.
I picked it up, turning it over in my fingers. It felt cold, much colder than it should have been. There was no barcode, nothing to scan.
Just press it against the scanner, it will work.
Against my better judgment, I pressed the bean against the scanner. The machine beeped, and $50 appeared on the display. The man smiled. His teeth were too white, too perfect.
Thank you. I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same part.
He left without another word. The bell remained silent. I checked the security footage later that night, curious about the strange encounter. The cameras showed the hearse pulling up to pump 3, but no driver ever exited the vehicle. The pump activated. The gas flowed, but no one was there. The next Tuesday, at exactly 2:17 a.m., the hearse returned. Same pump, same routine. This time I paid closer attention.
Pump 3, and this?
Another single coffee bean. I scanned it without question this time. $50 again. As he turned to leave, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. The back of his suit was soaking wet, but it wasn't raining outside. The third Tuesday, I was ready. I had questions.
Pump 3 and this?
Before I could ask anything, he spoke again.
You're curious. That's natural. But curiosity has consequences.
His eyes met mine. They weren't eyes at all, but deep, empty sockets, with tiny pinpricks of light far in the back.
You know why a transport?
I shook my head.
Not what. Who? Those who ask too many questions, those who see things they shouldn't, those who notice patterns when they should look away.
He leaned closer. The smell hit me then. Damp earth and something metallic.
There's room for one more, always room for one more.
The fourth Tuesday I called in sick. I couldn't face him again. My replacement, Jake, didn't understand why I was so adamant about not working. Wednesday morning, Jake's mother called the store. He never made it home after his shift. His car was still in the parking lot. The security footage showed the hearse at pump 3 and Jake walking out to speak with the driver. Then static. When the footage cleared, both were gone. I couldn't stay away forever. Bills needed paying. The fifth Tuesday I was back behind the counter, hands shaking as 2 a.m. approached. The hearse pulled up right on schedule.
Pump 3 and this?
He placed 2 coffee beans on the counter. This time,
your friend asks about you, he says hello.
I scanned both beans. $100.
He'll be good company for a while until he drives out.
The sixth Tuesday I installed a cross above the door. The hearse still came. The bell still didn't ring.
That won't work. Nothing works.
3 beans this time. $150.
I'm running out of space in the back. Maybe I should make room.
The 7th Tuesday, I brought a gun from home. My father's old revolver, loaded with the special bullets my grandfather had made, silver with crosses etched into the tips. The hearse pulled up at 2:17 a.m., precise as always. I watched the driver approach on the monitor. My hand rested on the gun beneath the counter. The door opened. No bell.
Pump 3, and this
4 beans. I didn't move to scan them.
is something wrong.
I pulled out the gun and aimed it at his chest.
Oh, this is unexpected.
His smile widened, stretching beyond what a human mouth should be capable of.
Go ahead. I've never had anyone fight back before. It's refreshing.
I pulled the trigger. The bullet hit him square in the chest. No blood, no reaction, just a small hole in his perfect suit.
You finished.
I fired again, and again, and again. 6 bullets, all finding their mark. He looked down at the holes, then back at me.
My turn.
He reached across the counter faster than I could react, his cold fingers wrapping around my wrist. His touch burned like frostbite.
You've made this so much more interesting. But rules are rules. You've seen too much, asked too much, now you pay.
I tried to pull away, but his grip was like iron. With his free hand, he picked up one of the coffee beans and pressed it against my forehead. Pain exploded behind my eyes as something cold seeped into my skin.
1 week, that's how long it takes. 1 week and you'll be ready for pickup.
He released me and walked out. I collapsed behind the counter, my head throbbing. When I touched my forehead, there was nothing there, no mark, no bean, nothing. But I could feel it inside me, cold and growing colder. For the next 7 days, I felt myself changing. My skin grew paler. Food lost its taste. Sleep became impossible. I could feel the cold spreading from my forehead throughout my body, like ink and water. By the 7th day, I couldn't feel my heartbeat anymore. Tuesday came, I didn't go to work. I barricaded myself in my apartment, windows locked, doors chained. 2:17 a.m. arrived. A knock at my door.
It's time.
I didn't answer. Another knock.
You can't hide from this, no one can.
The knocking stopped. Silence. Then the temperature in my apartment plummeted. Frost formed on the windows. My breath clouded in front of me.
I told you, rules are rules.
His voice came from behind me. I spun around. He stood in my living room, though all doors remained locked.
The bean has taken root. You belong to the journey now.
I tried to run, my legs wouldn't move. The cold had spread too far.
Don't worry, you won't be alone. Your friend is still there. And others, so many others.
He approached me slowly, each step deliberate.
Do you know why I always use pump 3?
I shook my head, unable to speak.
3 hours to die, 3 days to transform, 3 weeks to forget who you were, 3 months until there's nothing left but the hunger, 3 years until even that fades and you become like me, a collector.
He placed his hand on my shoulder. The apartment around us began to fade.
It's not so bad, this existence. You'll see. In time, you might even enjoy it.
I found myself standing outside next to the hearse at Pump 3. The gas station was dark. Closed. A new sign on the door read, "Closed due to staff shortage."
Get in.
I tried to resist, but my body moved on its own, opening the back door of the hearse. Inside was not what I expected. Not a coffin, but a vast, impossible space. A cavernous darkness that couldn't fit inside the vehicle I was seeing. And faces. Dozens of pale, silent faces staring out from the darkness. Jake was there, his eyes now empty sockets with pinpricks of light.
Your seat is waiting.
I climbed in. The door closed behind me. The hearse pulled away from Pump 3. That was 3 weeks ago. I'm still here, in this impossible space that's somehow inside and outside of reality at once. I'm changing, forgetting. The cold has reached my heart now. Soon, I'll be like the others. Just another pale face in the dark. But I've learned something the others haven't. Each coffee bean is a soul. Each soul powers the hearse for another journey. Each journey brings another passenger. It's a cycle, endless and hungry. I've been counting the faces. There are 49 of us now. The driver says he needs one more. Just one more to complete the circle. 50 souls to break free from whatever binds him to this task. Tonight, we return to Hollow Creek gas station. Pump 3. Always Pump 3, there's a new night attendant. Young, curious, perfect. The driver has given me my first task, a test of my transformation. I am to place the coffee bean on the counter. I am to speak the words. If you're working the night shift and see a hearse pull up to pump 3, don't look too closely at the driver. Don't ask questions. Don't notice patterns. And whatever you do, don't scan the coffee bean, because there's always room for one more. Always room for one more.